Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Capturing Your Love Show, where we talk about everything relationships, marriage, weddings, and so much more. Today, we have two remarkable individuals joining us, each with their own unique story. Cole and Kylee Miller. Cole, a husband, son, brother, uncle, and friend. He is an entrepreneur by trade, driven by his passion for business. You may also find him on the golf course, kicking alongside other PGA players. And Kylee, a wife, daughter, sister, aunt, and friend. By day, she is a dedicated nurse, bringing care and compassion to those in need. And at home, she's a proud cat mom and has an undeniable love for ice cream. Thank you two for joining me on the show today.
Thanks for having us.
It's going to be a good one. So, on a casual level, I think it's pretty cool how we got connected. Our mutual friend was a Sam McLaughlin.
Yeah.
And that's how you guys ended up, reaching out, and we were honored to be able to capture the love at your wedding. And I think that we should just jump right into the convo if you guys are cool with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about how entrepreneurship has influenced your marriage. How do you two balance that, specifically when it comes to like finding time for each other?
Yeah, for finding time, it's just more so prioritizing everything. Business is very important to me. It's kind of been a part of my life where I had golf and I had always put that ahead in my world. And then when she came into the picture, it was like my priorities got rearranged, right? And so I just always know that she's my one, and shortly behind is my two. And if I keep that in check, then I can put a lot of effort into my business, but still know that she's always going to come out on top. And so with where I'm at now in entrepreneurship, my hours are very irregular, and some weeks I'll work. I used to work a lot of weekends. Now I've had a little bit more free time and things have calmed down at work. And so I try to put more time and energy into her. And our relationship and just building our relationship. And then when the business needs it, we've talked about it, and she's very understanding. I think having that open communication and dialogue, just knowing that there's give and take, like sometimes, some weeks, specifically, like I cannot do much, and she's aware of it. We talk about it, and that week, it is kind of a grind to make sure you're doing well with your business, but ultimately, she knows like the business is for us. It's not just for me. It's for us. And when you align your values to be along the same lines, it's a sacrifice she's making for me, and I just make sure I value that and I don't take that for granted. And then it's kind of us growing it together. Even though it's like specifically what I'm doing, it's still us growing it together. And I think if you can just get aligned in that, it helps you have the give and take and the compromise that you need in a healthy relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. He's always like super driven, and that's one of the things like I love the most about him. And like I'm like Cole's number one fan, like always your biggest supporter. So like if there's something he wants to do or has an idea, like I'm always there to listen. And like right now he does work like a lot of hours because it's like a newer kind of thing. But like I already knew that coming into it, and like I know how much he likes it and how much you like what you do. So for me, it's easy, like for you to like work that much because I know it's something you like to do. And he knows like my number one like love language is quality time. So like he knows that. So he makes time, and we make time every week. I would say we do a really good job with that. And like you said, we just have really like open communication. Like we're like best friends first, I feel like, and I think that's really important. And like I do like express my opinions. I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and like
She's
that.
Easy to read.
Yeah, I'm super easy to read. So like if something is bothering me, he knows, and we'll talk about it. And if I think that week it's like been a lot at work, like I'll let him know about it, and we kind of talk about it, and we kind of like make time for each other. And I think it's going really well. I mean, life is just going to keep getting more and more busy as like we get older and there's more things that come at us. But I think that like makes you stronger as a couple when you're able to like talk about those things and work through those things and like have each other's dream be your dream too, and like in mind, and like be your goal. So like with Cole, anything that he wants to do or like is working towards, like that's something that I want too. So I think that's just, how I view it. And he always makes time. I make him make time.
Yeah, she makes me make time.
So,
That's accurate.
yeah.
That's definitely accurate.
Yep.
I also think like as a part of kind of what we were talking about there, like I'm more traditional in the sense that I've always she has her own desire to work and she never would not want to work because it's something we've talked about. But I want to be able to like provide a lifestyle for her where when we have kids, if she wants to take a step back and work part-time. And that's where a lot of my efforts and my motivation for like really working hard in my job is to be able to provide her with the flexibility so that we can have the good home life and still be able to be, doing well with business and
And I think-
financially.
And I think you always put like family before your
Yeah,
job.
I value it more than
but
anything.
at the end of the day, it's like your job and like family and like things are more important to you than that. So I think you've always been like that. So that's that's nice to see.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome. I think it's, from my perspective, just hearing that, it's very clear that you two are on the same page.
Yeah.
That you've discussed things, there's been open communication, and you've established long-term plans.
Right.
I would advocate for a lot of couples to do that as early as possible, because you could be dating someone that has the exact opposite idea of what the rest of their life looks like. And it's cool to see that you two are on that same page. Obviously, you're married, so thank goodness, thank God. But I see that, and that's awesome. One specific thing I want to ask is, you said that Cole always makes time.
Yeah.
What does that look like? What does making time look like?
Really, just like, you want to go?
No, go ahead. Keep going. Go ahead.
Really, just like, it's not even anything big. Like for me, like I love just like being at home. Like I'm a homebody. Like just like sitting next to me. Not even like we have to talk. Just like each other's presence is really nice. And like just like watching a movie or watching one of our shows we like to watch together. Or like even if he's, doing something and I'm doing a puzzle, like it's just nice to be in the same place. And then there's also times where like we do have like, deeper conversations, or there's times like where we don't talk at all. It's just, for me, I just like him being there. And like we could really do anything together, and I feel like we have a really good time, and it's always like super fun and super like easy. So I think, yeah,
I would genuinely say that we like have fun with each other. A lot of the times we're just sitting on the couch and I can make her laugh, she'll make me laugh, and like honestly
or I'm sleeping.
Yeah, it pulls you out of the everyday stress and anxiety that life throws at you, because there's so much going on today, that we just have our own little bubble where we can just be us. And like our home is our safe little bubble where it's us and our cats, which I never knew I was going to be a cat person, but I am, I'll admit it.
Cat dad.
So we have our little safe bubble, and that's like our quality time when we're in our bubble, I would say. And it's like, it's just the one place where I can decompress and I don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah. We also like obviously love spending time with family and friends, always. But for us, it's like we always need just like Cole and Kylee time too. Like we hang out with everybody and that's great, but we always just like it to be us too.
And I think that was something we started in Florida. Like when we first moved down, COVID hit and we had just moved in together. And I was like, okay, we're really going to get to know each other well, right?
Yeah.
And we're locked in this tiny little apartment together with our cats. And it was like, we just had all of the conversations, and she was still working at the time. And it just kind of brought us so close together that we realized like this is something that we need to preserve in our life, because this is something that grounds us, right? And it was the give and take of we always had each other to fall back into.
Yeah.
And that it just made it very simple.
We do our own thing, but we come back together as one.
Yeah, and our quality time is really just like one-on-one. But I mean, the phones are out sometimes, but we can pretty much disconnect from the rest of the world and have our time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what our quality time or making time looks like.
Yeah.
So, to dig even a little bit deeper, is there an unwritten rule that you just know, like, oh, I'm hanging out with Kylee tonight. Oh, Cole's going to be here tonight. Or is it scheduled, planned, communicated time?
It's
I would say not.
There's never really like
No.
planned, to be
No.
honest with you. It's
like,
more of like we can read each other so
Yeah.
well anymore
yeah.
that it's like I can tell when she wants to have an honest or deeper conversation because she'll be sitting there and she just stare at me. But honestly, like I can read her emotions
Yeah.
almost like the back of my hand. I know it sounds cliche and all, but I really do see her emotions and I can kind of just gauge, and she can do that for me as
Yeah,
well.
for sure.
Um,
When you're talking like a lot about like an idea or something, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, he wants to like talk, like
Yeah,
talk.
and she knows
Okay.
it's just like you don't have to say anything, just listen.
Yeah.
I just want to get this out in the open, like I need to air it out to like, and then I'll ask for feedback or something like that, and vice versa. Like I'll know if she just needs to vent or if she just needs, me to just give her a little bit of a push in one direction or the other, because sometimes,
Yeah.
we're just looking for a little
And
support
there
or
are
give and
times,
take.
yeah, there are times too where like the week's crazy and like he plays like on a pool league. I know like he plays on a pool league Thursday nights. Or like if it's like golf time, like he goes golfing, this day. So I know he has stuff planned. And there's times where it gets busy and like sometimes I'll be like, "Hey, like I know like, you're busy, but like I could really use like a date night. We have our favorite sushi spot. That's like our go-to place if we like go out on a date, just us two." And like he's always like, "Oh yeah, like let's go get sushi tonight." And it'll be like random. It'll be like a Wednesday, and I'm like, "That sounds great." And then that'll be like just us two, like our time, and like it's just nice. We do that pretty frequently too.
So how would you two suggest someone who's either beginning to start dating someone or has been dating someone for a while that doesn't have that easily
Yeah.
readable kind of like, oh, I know when she needs more time or I know when he needs more time? How do you suggest someone work towards understanding each other when it comes to figuring out quality time with one another and making time for one another?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like it's really important, and I feel like a lot of times nowadays some things, relationships are very superficial at first, and like with us, like we were lucky enough, like we knew each other really young, so off the bat like we didn't have that like awkward superficialness, but we were able to like kind of dive pretty like deep into like how we like want to spend time. So like I think just sitting down with like your person, whoever you're with, and explaining to them like, hey, like this is like how I think like I want to spend my time. Like how do you think that we should navigate this? Like just being really open and having like the conversation, I feel like is important of how to like gauge that.
Yeah, I mean, for newer relationships, you definitely do need to you need to schedule something because you can't read it out of the other person, right? So communication is the only way you're really going to be able to pick that up until you guys get to know each other better. New relationships, once you have those 2, 3, 4 deeper conversations where you start to get to know, and then you can pick apart and see, like, you can really start to read someone. Until then, I mean, the only way I can really see to do it is to schedule something or to just work towards it. Every time you're together, you have to make the most of your time and just kind of inch away at it until you can be sitting in silence and know that both of you are okay sitting in silence.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's good insight. It's like, kind of like going to the gym. Like you could go to the gym and totally waste your time if you don't have quality control, if you're not doing things properly. Quality time is very similar, where if you're both on your phones, you're distracted, and you spend an hour with each other, but you never really connected. What
Right.
really got accomplished.
Right.
So I like that perspective.
Yeah.
This is a fun fact, and it actually blew me away. Brides.com released a study by the CDC. This is crazy, by the way, because for the first 10 episodes, for every episode we recorded, I actually said the opposite and asked why this is. And so for the first time in 20 years, marriages are trending upward and divorces are trending downward. First time in 20 years. It was just released at the end of February. It's crazy to me. So my question is love making a comeback? What do you guys think has changed a 20-year decline in marriages and a 20-year incline in divorces? It's a hard question
That is a
because
hard
I don't know the
question.
answer.
The only thing I could think off the top of my head is post-COVID, I've noticed a lot more people having conversations, right? Like what we're doing here today. COVID kind of made you have some of those awkward conversations. You spend a lot of time with people. You kind of have to boil down into, you have to dig into something if you really want to get any value. And the other thing I could think is that people started talking more about their values rather than talking about, oh, hey, how's the weather?
Yeah.
And when you get to your values, it's much easier to align with someone and make a deeper connection than surface value. That's the only thing I could say. But
So you think COVID brought people together on a deeper level?
I think there's
Perhaps?
COVID for the world was obviously bad, but on the backside of it, I think we learned how to disconnect from the outside world and reconnect to people around us that we care about. And so I maybe that's what's going on. Probably not,
I think
but it's my guess. So
I think too, like nowadays, like it's just so different. Like I see it with my niece, like she's 10, and like when I was 10, it's a completely different world out there. It's wild to me. And I think people nowadays too normalize so many things that weren't normalized previously. Like just for example, like the stigma on like mental health, like that was really never talked about like back like in the day. Now it's like very talked about like openly. So I feel like a lot of things about marriage, like divorce, marriage, are more openly talked about like just in general, and more, you know, communicated with like between like family and friends. And like for our families, like both of our parents like have really strong marriages. They've been married for a really long time. So it kind of also like, I think family has a lot to do with it, and like how you see how marriage is, how you're kind of brought up in that too. And I think, you know, if, you know, some people like they're just going up with it like their family is. And I think, you know, that's my guess. I'm glad that it's happening like that. It's the opposite way. So, yeah.
You know, now that we're talking about it and I've given it a little more thought, I'm also inclined to think that I don't know how society is at large. You can only get a sense through social media of what's truly going on. But perhaps, I mean, generally it feels like everything's crazy, like everything's chaotic, like I always play devil's advocate and believe that people are good.
Yeah.
But that the opposite of good people is amplified online. And so perhaps people are realizing, and individuals are realizing, you know, when we live this lifestyle and don't value marriage, this is where society ends up. And perhaps subconsciously they're like, we need to get back to the family.
Yep.
And we need to get back to
Kinda
the power
like
of
the norm.
marriage.
I mean, I can see it in myself. Like I've taken steps. I don't even have any social media anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, he's.
I don't
well,
have.
he's never.
I had.
Yeah, we
the
were
only
never
thing I
able
ever
to tag
really
you
had,
in anything.
That's
Now
why
that
he
I
doesn't.
remember
That's why
I
he
had-
doesn't answer
when I was-
anything that,
That
you
makes sense,
message.
too.
It's just me.
when I played professional golf, I had to have social media,
Yeah,
right? Because I was my own brand. So I had like Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah,
but I only ever really had Instagram. And then after that, I was scrolling one day, and I'm scrolling for like 3 hours. I'm like, what did I just get out of that?
Yeah.
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 And then I came to the realization I got nothing out of that. I wasted 3 hours of my life, and I just deleted the app.
Yeah. So
Where I
he
was
has
like,
none.
okay. Like if it's for a business, or if it's like if you're getting value out of it, I can see it, right? Like I used to enjoy cooking videos on there, and I would watch recipes. And then I was just scrolling through garbage, and I was like, this is really bad. I didn't get as much from this today as I got a waste of time. And that's when it just, to me, it was
Great awareness. Some
Yeah.
people
deleted.
Yeah.
stay in the loop.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's totally okay with being out of the loop, which is another thing like I really love about him, because like I'm not like that. I like to be in the loop, and I like to know like what people are doing, and like, you know, as much as you say like, oh, like
Just got a little FOMO.
yeah, like yeah, and you know, I have social media. I don't have a ton, and I'm not on it I think as much as some people my age, but I definitely like have it and I use it. And I definitely I think it's like just crazy how it impacts so many people, and so many young people nowadays too. Like
I mean, honestly, I can see like I think just a double-edged sword. Like I can see the use out of it,
Yeah.
right? It can be extremely useful if used in the right way. It's just a tool at the end of the day, right? It can be awesome, and at the same time, it can just sap all motivation and everything from your life if you let it.
Yeah.
It's like
So,
everything.
yeah,
Yep.
It's like
everything in moderation,
medicine.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Good take. I like that. Really simple question. Do you two value marriage?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
So-
I grew up like it's typical cliche like little girl like can't wait to get married, can't wait for my wedding day, it's gonna be the best day ever, like knew like from a young age like I want to get married, I want like a family and all these things, and like you have this timeline in your head when you're young. Oh, I'm gonna get married by 23, have a kid at 25, like, and as you get like older and you start to like become your own person and do your own things, like that timeline might shift, and that's okay. But for me it was always like my goal was to like I do still want the same thing. I wanted to get married. I want to have kids. I want to have a family. And like for me it was important to find somebody that had like that same, expectations, because we do have a couple friends which we love them dearly, but they're just like not like that. Like they, they're doing their own thing. They don't really, see themselves maybe getting married, which is totally fine. But for me, I was super important for me to like have a commitment to like one person and like have just somebody be like my person. So I definitely think it's like a very big value to like have somebody like be like your supporter, your rock, your, safe space. So
They were also both very fortunate. Both of our parents have been married for over, what, 30 years?
40 for my
40.
parents this weekend.
My parents would be 40.
Yeah, your parents?
Yeah, so we have two awesome sets of role models that, I mean, my parents, they were always like best friends and married, and it was like, okay, that's what I aspire to find. And that's what I found in her. And her parents, I see the exact same things. And so it's like to have two anymore, a lot of them, I mean,
rare.
what is it? Almost 50% of
Yeah, and it's
couples end up
we're
in
very
divorce. So both of our parents for over 40 years, and it's like, it's just a tradition to me that was passed on like it was nothing to me. I kind of take it for granted, right? But like looking at it now from other perspectives of like, I see a lot of friends that have struggles with it, right? Like their parents got divorced, they saw that it was kind of a nasty divorce, and now they're struggling with the commitment aspect. And I've never even really thought about that, because I had my parents who have always been like a rock in my world.
Yeah.
And it makes me grateful, but at the same time, like I can see both sides of it.
We talk about that pretty frequently, like how we're very blessed to have both of our sets of parents as role models, because not a lot of people do. And like my dad came from not a great situation.
Her dad and my mom
and your mom,
both had like wild childhoods.
yeah,
right?
and they just took like
And
the
they
path
both-
completely opposite, and like have just formed this great bond between them and their person, and like we're just super lucky to have both of them as like role models, because you don't see that a lot anymore, and it's sad, like
Well, the trends, the 20-year trends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't see it all.
yeah.
So, my parents divorced, and I grew up from high school into college with the mindset and philosophy, marriage is pointless. And so my first big people job, I was bartending at a bar and grill, and I was surrounded by individuals who were, depressed and broken and also lonely and divorced, who would be in there drinking every day saying, marriage is pointless. Never get married. Marriage is pointless. Never get married. Marriage is pointless. And so I was in this mindset and surrounded by these people who really viewed marriage as a piece of paper. It's you and the government. It's all it is. It's a piece of paper. And it wasn't until I got plugged into my local church and surrounded myself with individuals who agreed that marriage is a covenant with God, and there's so much more power with marriage when you view it as a blessing from God, that I ended up having a perception switch and realized that those who had that negative mindset weren't doing marriage correctly. And those who were 20, 30, 40, 50 years married knew they had the key. They had the golden wisdom, and they knew that the Bible is very clear. If a man aligns with Christ and respects his wife and loves his wife, and the wife respects her husband, that marriage is going to thrive. And there's obviously things that go on along the way, but that was the formula in order to have a healthy marriage. It wasn't until I got plugged into that kind of influence that I realized any of that. So my question is, obviously I know you both have parents who, are going on 40 years and 40 years like married. I'm assuming that they may have that similar, belief and value, but where do you two lie on the marriage is a piece of paper and marriage is a covenant with God spectrum?
I would say I'm definitely more towards the covenant. I'm probably not as religious. I did grow up. I'm confirmed. I went through the whole process. And for me, faith has always kind of been a personal thing. And now as I grow up, I've definitely come to realize like there is value to organized religion. And I always kind of viewed it as like organized religion is them trying to control you or whatever. And I think that's totally wrong now. What I think now that I was kind of more selfish in that view and it was kind of naive in that view is that it's more so like you're giving to it's community aspect. It's that local, you're bringing in the community when you go to church and you practice religion with others. You're allowing others into your space and into your life. And that's the aspect that I think I was naive to when I was younger. And so looking at it now, I definitely see it more as a covenant blessed by God, right? And when we had done our premarital stuff with Vince and his wife, well, he's not a pastor, but
He married us.
yeah,
Our
he married
reverend.
us.
Yeah.
Our
Great
reverend.
guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Great speeches,
He
too.
gave this
So good.
analogy, and I really liked it because I found I kind of had a similar thought to it, where God is the rock in the center, right? And you're both walking your own path, but you're both tethered to that rock. And so your paths have to walk together because God bounds you guys to each other. And I always kind of thought it as like, I'm bound to her, like she's my tether, right? And that we stay together. But if you guys walk in different directions, the tether's off. But if you're always bound to God being in the middle, that was the analogy that I really liked, that you'll always stay along the same path, and that path is God, and that keeps you guys together. And I really like that. And so I guess I would say, as coming back to the original question, I do view it more as a covenant, and I view it as a covenant to her as well, like a promise to her of what we want. And I've kind of dropped the me to become we, and that's kind of how I view it now.
Yeah.
Commitment has been a huge topic conversation when it comes to marriage, and obviously everyone's like, you're committing, and if you don't marry, that's the only thing that you're not doing. If you move in with one another and you have animals and you share bank accounts and you do all this, you're doing everything but the committing part. And I think that there has been a decline, now that I'm thinking about it even more, a decline in marriages and an incline in divorces because commitment has been the issue. And I think with a more seriousness to the word commitment and understanding it, I think we'd have way more marriages around.
For sure.
So you kind of painted a little bit of your family history when it comes to how long they were married. But are there any specific values or beliefs that they instilled on each side of the family and the two of you that you want to continue on to your future kids?
Yeah, so I think for my parents, they're completely different. They're very opposite, and I love that about them so much. They're literally
like your cats.
Yes, they're like literally the two best people ever. Like I love them so much, but they are very different, and they have very different hobbies and different things that they like to do. So I think it's super important that you're your own person. I see so many people like so in like, and it's great to be infatuated, like, but like they're so like, that's, oh my gosh, that's the only person, that's the only thing I want to focus on. But like, I think it's so important to like do your own things and then come back at the end of the day. Like he was alluding to earlier, like I love being a nurse, and like obviously like when we have children and stuff, I'm gonna love to be a mom, but like I also like I don't want to just be one thing. I want to have different layers to me and be able to still be a nurse, still be a mom, still do this. So I think like it's important that you are your own person and you do your own activities and allow each other to be independent, because like the independence is important, because at the end of the day it is both of you and it's you together, but you're still your own person. So I think it's important to have your own hobbies and do your own things like that. So that's definitely
Yeah,
something.
and with my parents, I mean, they got married. My mom was
Young.
20, and
No, not even. 19.
my mom was 19, my dad was 21.
Awesome.
So when they would go to the bars,
He
my
was her
dad
guardian.
was her legal
Legit.
guardian,
Yeah.
which is so weird. But anyway, what I saw from them is like they knew that the life they wanted to build, they were going to grow together in, right? They wanted to always grow together, and that's kind of the tradition I want to take with us. Like she talked about, doing your own thing, right? And you obviously do need your own hobbies, right? But I think if you can just keep your eye on the ball of growing together, you're always kind of walking the same path, and you're making it more of like, I am my own person, you are your own person. We have a common life that we want to share together, and we're going to grow it together.
Yep.
And that's kind of like the unifying factor that I saw in my parents that I'd like to take with.
I like that. Cool.
Yep.
So how would you two guide someone who maybe is fresh out of high school or finishing up high school, and is our age, that range, like 18 to 30, 18 to 28, how would you guide them to help them better prepare themselves to be a suitable partner, a suitable husband, suitable future wife?
I think, like, if I could go back to, like, young Kylie, I would just tell, like, people not to be so hard on yourself. Like, just kind of, like, be you, and, like, the person that you're meant to be with will be attracted to you. Don't try to, like, change yourself or, like, and it's so hard nowadays because you obviously compare yourself to, like, a lot of different people, a lot of different things, but I would just say, like, just be you and like learn from your experiences, grow, like if you make mistakes, that's okay. Like that's how you learn from it. So that's pretty much what I would say.
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid to make mistakes for
Yeah.
sure. I think it's important. Like when I played professional golf, the biggest thing for me is like taking it's tough to do, but you almost have to like set yourself outside of you,
comfort
right?
zone, yeah.
And then take a look back and be like, here are my faults. Be cognizant of what you're actually very good at, what you could use some improvement at, right? And be mindful of that and know that you're always going to make mistakes along the way, but always try and improve upon those things. And eventually, if you're trying to improve every day, every step that you take brings you not only to a better version of yourself, but to someone who is open then to meeting anyone out there that might come into your life.
I like that. Some good advice, guys. I like it. Yeah, we got through the hard stuff. How do you guys feel so far?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get us
The rest of it's easier from here on out.
All right.
So take us back in time. You mentioned you met
How far back are we going?
We go pretty far.
mentioned you know each other as early as kindergarten.
Yes.
But what was the initial date conversation, and how did the first date come about?
All right, I got this one. So
Set the tone.
So fast forward 5 years old. So no, seriously though. We went to elementary school together, same kindergarten class. I was always in love with Cole, and everyone knows this. He's circled in all my elementary school yearbooks. Like
Yo.
I was always in love with Cole. And we dated in like elementary school. So like the Santa secret shop that they used to do.
Yeah, I got her a ring.
He got me a ring that said like, "Will you be my girlfriend?" Circle yes or no. Had our friend deliver it to me, so it was legit. We were, and then middle school we dated, whatever. But no, seriously, in high school we both actually had other pretty like serious relationships going on. College, same deal. We kind of were in a relationship, we're doing our own thing, and then we just have always had the same friend group, and like our parents knew each other, so it was always like super easy with us. We weren't like super close, but when we would see each other, it would be like, "Hey, what's up?" Like no time had passed. So we were both home, I think, for winter break, and my group of girlfriends who I'm still like really close with, there's probably like what, 6 of us. His group of guy friends, probably like 6 of them. We all were just like together one night separately, and then they came over and started hanging out with us. And then I was like, oh, cool. There's
She
Cole
had her
over
eyes
there.
out. I was like, oh,
Yep,
oh.
yep. And I was like, oh, there he is. But so then like we just were like, okay, like, and then we started like talking a little bit, like we were texting kind of back and forth. Then saw each other again over winter break.
Yep, and then that's when I asked her out.
Yeah, and then it was kind of nice because it wasn't that weird, like, I don't know you factor.
Yeah.
It was just
there was no like the meet and greet normal.
Yeah, it
formality.
was
We could jump all of the formalities
Yeah.
and kind of dive right into getting to know each other.
it was just
better.
more so like, this is weird now that like, because we're already friends, but like now
Yeah.
like it's like a romantic kind of thing again. But it was nice. I would say I was definitely like the pusher more so than you were, like, let's go out on a date kind of thing. But yeah, so we went out. Our first date was like the day, it was a New Year's. It was New Year's Day.
Yeah.
And we just like went typical movie and dinner. We saw Jumanji and went to
Dinner and a
Red
movie.
Robin.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yep. And then like he dropped me off. I was still at home at the time. And then he was at his parents' house still, so he dropped me off. And then like
We had like a string, like a week of dates though.
yeah, we had like 6 dates in a row
Because
for like
I was
6
only
days.
home for a little while.
He
He
over
had to go
winter
back to
break.
school. I was done
And
with
I was like,
school.
all right, we're gonna get a lot of time in together here.
Yeah.
That's
And then-
awesome.
So then we went ice skating.
Yep. On
Fun.
on
my-
his parents' pond. And then yeah, we did it like 6 dates in a row, and then he went back to school and I was working. I was already done with school. And then like that next week, I was like, man, I miss him already. And he's like, I miss you too. And then I was like, can I come up like and visit you at school? And he was like, yeah. And then like I just continuously like would go up to see him when I could, or if he had a tournament because he was playing golf, like I would go watch his tournament. So it was very like a short like amount of time, and
It was
just
kind of
like
all at once, and then it felt so natural. It
it just
was,
happened like very
forever.
quickly.
Yeah, it was just like, okay.
I think we said I love you to each other like the first month we were like together, to be honest with you.
Because you.
We had
obviously
gotten to
you
know
fell in love
honestly, we had
immediately.
gotten to know each other so well within. I mean, like we knew each other, right? But we didn't know anything deep enough, really.
Yeah.
But with that amount of time spent together, like it was almost instant connection,
Wow.
and so you could just we could just tell.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So you started dating for a while. And so what changed in Cole's brain for Cole to go, I got to get a ring and propose to this girl?
For me, it was never
tripping in the
it was
air.
never something changed in my brain. It was always like timing, because I had golf and we were moving around, and so for me it was always going to be like, all right, when am I going to give myself enough time that I want to do the golf thing, or when are we going to go back home and start the family thing? Because family's always been something that has been very important in my life, and I knew I was going to give myself a set amount of time where golf, it wasn't really what like I had initially thought it was going to be. Like it was so much travel. Like I was on the road for 3 months at a time, and that was a big strain on our relationship, right? But like we were still very good even under those circumstances. And that was something that I knew. I'm like, wow, we can do this when I'm on the road for 3 months. We can do this anywhere, anytime, right? Like we can definitely handle things. And so it was like, I have a girl here that I want to start a family with. And so then it was just a question of, do I value career more or do I value family more? And for me, that wasn't even really a question. I've always valued family more than anything else. And so she was my family at that point. And that's when we moved back. And once we moved back, I pretty much got a ring.
I think it was like definitely like the timing of everything. I knew it was going to happen. Like there was literally no doubt in my mind. I think it was just we were moving around. His like it was, you know, golf, and then like we had to like buy a house back home. There was just like a lot going on, and it like I think it just needed to like calm down a little bit. And then I think like I was never like worried about it. You know, I was just kind of like waiting. I was like, you know, when it, but I knew like it was definitely something we talked.
We
talked
had
about
like
it, too.
communicated about it
Yeah.
all the time. Like, cause when we first moved in, like our intention was already like to to build a life together.
Yeah.
Like it was something that we were already working towards because we weren't going to move in together, especially with like her parents, my parents. Her parents were coming down there. My parents up here. We weren't like, we're not just doing this to see if this is a good relationship. Like we know it's a good relationship. We want to move in together because we want to build something here. And so like at that point, we already had communicated
like
where we were.
Yeah. We like bought a house. Like we were all in, and we had that open discussion. Like, hey, like we're not gonna buy a house together if we're not gonna be, you know, at the end, like,
right. If
married.
there's any sort of doubt there, we're not gonna
we're
like.
not gonna do this. Like, and we were very open.
But there was
about
there
that.
was there was never any doubt in our relationship, and so
No, I knew pretty quickly. Like yeah.
You guys are good at communication. I'm getting a sense of that. You guys are good at talking to each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely something.
We're good at big item communication. When it comes to my scheduling, however, it can make her mad sometimes because I'll tell her last minute, "Oh yeah, I'm supposed to go here."
Yeah.
There's different,
There's
there's
give and
different
take.
levels of communication. It's like the little one, like maybe I should have shot her a text like, "Hey, I'll be home at 7:30, not 5:00." You know.
Yeah.
But beyond that, we're pretty good at
Yeah.
communication.
Yeah, we talk a lot. So
You said you talked about marriage. What now? Did you go as far as like you went to the ring store together?
No.
Or was it
I
as far
was-
as you had zero idea?
I had,
So-
I knew exactly what she wanted, and I didn't do any of it.
no.
I took her mom and my
No.
mom, and we went to the ring store, and I know I knew right away, like, she liked simple, and she wanted, like, just, like, a little rock and then just the band. And I was like, man, that just doesn't look good. So then I just had to, like, glitz it up a little bit.
So for me, I was like, everybody has their own way to do it, and everybody has their own thing, and I love
but I knew
that.
she would be okay with
and
that. That's
but
the
for
thing.
me, I am not one of those girls that sent him a picture of my ring. I didn't want to go with him. I wanted him to pick it out.
Yeah.
But I did tell him I want something super simple, one big rock, nothing on the sides. So, but I let him, I didn't tell him color. I didn't tell him what's like circle, square. I wanted him to pick it, and I wanted to be surprised. And I love that he took my mom and his mom. My mom knew.
Good play.
My mom,
They were drinking champagne, and I was like on a mission. Like
My mom
I was
knew-
like, no, I know that's not the one. Throw that away.
This makes me mad because my mom knew exactly what I wanted, but she does not like what I like. So she wanted me to get something more glitzy. So that's
But I knew your mom's style is not even close to yours. So
no.
like I was like, there's like a balance though.
So,
was like,
but
you gotta
I
go
was
little.
I love it. It's great. And then like I was able to then like kind of incorporate my more simple vintagey into my wedding band, which is nice. So I have like the piece that Cole thought like I should have picked for me, and I love it. But then I was able to kind of pick like something more like, and they actually go super well together.
She's such a planner. She even has like the 1-year anniversary picked out, and I'm like,
on top, I know what it's gonna look like. So yeah, but like so that's how
Fun.
that went. And then it took a while to come in because you had it something custom on it. What's it called? Hidden Halo. Yeah, so it took a while to come in.
That was an awesome feature.
Nice move.
Greatest feature ever. I waited so long for that. I was
Worth
like,
it.
man, maybe I should have just gotten the ring.
Because I was like, I want to get married in the fall. Like, I love the fall. And I'm like, all right, well, it's getting pretty late. It was like November. I was like, are we going to get married?
Oh no.
I'm like, we can still do the fall. She's like, you think I can plan a wedding in under a year? I'm like, honey, you can do this.
So tell me about the proposal. How did you catch her off guard?
You got that one.
I got that one.
Oh, this is a story.
So I basically knew she was just counting down the days at this point, right? So I was like, okay, I got to do something, throw her off my scent, or get her hopes up and let her down hard or something, right?
That's
just to get it on video.
terrible.
No, it's perfect though because it's the only way to truly surprise.
And that's what he
her.
did. Let me
Right.
This
down
is a
hard.
common move, by the
So-
way. That happens a lot.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, what can I do? So I set up like a little scavenger hunt, and at each place, like the clues led to all of our our family's houses that we all, because we're all pretty close in New Tripoli. But anyway, so we would bounce around from place to place following each clue, and at the last one, it was her brother's house. I had her
It was like,
nephew
he would
walk
give-
out and just like hand her like a $10 gift card for Chipotle.
And that was, like, my prize.
But like when she heard scavenger hunt and it's leading to like all of our loved ones, she knew she was getting.
Like, oh, I'm getting engaged today. I literally said that. I said, we're getting engaged
and like on the
today.
back end of this, the second we left our house, I had my sister, or the second we left my sister's house, I had her run over and set up cameras at our house. And then so we're bouncing around, going back, and we get all the way out to her brother's house, and she like thinks she's gonna get this ring because it's the last stop, and it's a $10 gift card to Chipotle, and I just immediately saw her face go, "That's it." Right? Like, she didn't say it. She didn't say that. But, like, I just saw her face like, okay, let's go home. Right? So, she wanted to go then to...
I was like, from my perspective...
Yeah, we were going to go to, like, our family has, like, a distillery or whatever. We were all going to go there and, like, have a day. But I'm like, we got to run back home real quick. I got to feed the cats. I forgot to feed the cats.
And I was like...
So, we ran back home and my sister had set everything up. And when we left, I ran back inside and I put like a ring on our cat. Like this really big ring so she wouldn't miss it, which she missed it. Like a really big ring. And then, so when she walked inside, she's like, I gotta go to the bathroom really bad. I'm like, look at Louie. Just look at Louie.
Nah, it's cool.
It's like, just look at Louie, right? Like, cause he would always walk up and greet her at the door, right? And so I finally got her to look at Louie. And she's like, oh my God, there's a ring on him. And I was behind her at this point, and then I was down on one knee.
So from my perspective, so I woke up. I was with my sister-in-law getting my nails done because she's like, hey, we haven't been together, like, seen each other in a while. Let's go get our nails done. So I go get my nails done with her. Don't think anything of it. And then
Which gave me enough time to set everything up.
Yeah, and then I go back and to her house, and I'm hanging with, they have 4 kids. I'm hanging with my nieces and nephews. She's texting Cole, like, Kylee won't leave. So he calls me and he's like, hey, like, where are you? And I'm like, why do you care? Like, I'm
That's
hanging.
That's not a question he usually asks.
No, he kept asking where I was. I'm like, why? Okay, I'll come home. So I drive home, and then he's like, come in the kitchen. So I go in the kitchen, and there's like a little sheet of paper, and it's like a clue. And I was like, oh, we're getting engaged today. And he's like,
put 2 and 2 together because the nails thing? Or
no, not even at this point. So the first clue was actually really hard and I couldn't get it. And it was like, it alluded to his brother. So I was like, okay, so Travis. And I'm like, and he's like, all right, come on, we got to go to Travis's house. So then we went to, his house. Then we went to his sister's, then his parents, then my parents. And our last clue was a picture of God and then a son. So I was like, God's son. And that's my nephew. So we drive to my brother's, and I'm like, why would we be getting engaged at my brother's house? I was like, this makes no sense. So in my mind, I'm like, this is weird. And then he comes.
Did it cross your mind, like, maybe I'm not getting engaged?
Kind of.
Yeah, I had her like all. I was playing mind games the whole time.
He was like, you told me you wanted to do something fun today because it was nice out that day. And I was like, this makes no sense. Why would we be getting engaged at my brother's house? So I'm like, okay. And then he comes out straight face, and he's like, not straight face, and he just hands me this gift card. And I was like, thank you.
The kid?
Like, yes. He's like 4 at this time. He's like, here you go. And I'm like, thanks. And it's like a Chipotle gift card. And then all of them go, see you later. And I'm like, what is this? So then I get back in the car, and he's like, that's your prize. And I'm like, what? And I love Chipotle. Chipotle is like my favorite. So I'm like confused, and I'm like, all right.
Deflated at the same time.
I'm deflated,
like, really?
And I'm like, let's go get Chipotle. And he's like, no, we have to go home first. And I'm like, no, let's go get Chipotle. I have a gift card. And he's like, no, let's go home. So I'm thinking, oh, maybe there's like, people are gonna be at our house. Like, they're gonna surprise us. So I'm like, we like pull up on the street. There's no cars there, and I'm like, this is terrible.
You kept getting.
Yeah, and then I walk inside, and I'm like, you know what? I just got to go to the bathroom. So I start to go right up the stairs, and he's like, Kylee, look at Louie. And I'm like, what? He's like, look at Louie. And I'm like, oh, what is that? And then I turn around, he's like in our doorway, and our house is like my favorite place. So I'm happy it was there. And I had a thing, I said, I don't want people to be there, but I also want it somehow to be captured, either picture or film. So then like, he proposed or whatever. I don't remember what you said. I'm not going to lie. I don't think you remember what you said either.
I kind of blacked out.
Yeah. And then, it happened, and I'm like, he's like, where's the camera? like, where's the phone? I'm like, oh, good. Like, you know, videoed it. So that was one thing I'm really glad, because then, like, from that video, I could, like, take, like, screenshots and pictures, and, like, I have that now. And I'm a very big picture and video person, so that was really important to me to have that. So he listened to that.
Fun. So sorry that
I built
happened,
it all
but
in there.
fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun for me. I was
It was
having a
not,
great time.
I mean, it was great at the end.
Yes,
That's
Yep.
crazy.
Yep.
Yep.
So, you got engaged, and how many months did you have to plan the
We had
wedding?
364 days.
Nice.
One,
Just under a year.
One
She did
day
it count
under a year.
Yeah.
every day.
It was
Yeah.
easy, yeah, because we got engaged November 5th,
I
and
know,
we
but you
got
bought
married
like
November
those
4th.
blocks that just like each one, she would just rotate it every day.
Nice. Easy peasy.
Just the countdown.
Yep.
What was it like? Was it difficult? Was it easy?
I would say for me, the most stressful time was picking a venue, because I wanted it in the fall, so I knew as soon as we got engaged I had to hustle,
Yeah.
because like I knew I didn't want like a 2-year, I wanted like a pretty quick,
Mhm.
so I knew like things were probably booked up. We had a pretty big wedding, so I had to find
Yeah.
somewhere that fit. I wanted to do it outside, so the most stressful part for me was finding a place that accommodated what we needed. He was very chill throughout the entire process. He's like, whatever you like, I like. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And I knew that's how he was going to be. So it was more like, you know, I think after we found our venue, everything else just kind of fell into place. Like I knew this is the date, so I have to get X, Y, and Z done by this time frame. And then my second biggest thing was photo and video, because
Yep.
he knows that was like my number one thing. So once I had,
Which
know,
was awesome.
yeah. So once I had like you guys set, I was like, all right, I'm golden. Like, let's just like keep going with things. And I think it was really busy in the beginning. Then it was like a lull. Like I was doing a couple things here and there, making things with my like Cricut. And then it was like stressful, like 2 months before, because it was just like, oh my gosh, it's already here, it's happening. What do I have to do? Like the last minute details.
And you did a ton of little things that I don't even think she got to appreciate.
No.
Because at like the day of, it was like we were moving all around, and it just hit you so fast.
Yeah, for sure. Like I focused so hard on like the little stuff, because that's just how I am. I didn't look at anything that I did. Like that's why I'm so glad I have like my pictures and videos, because I didn't look at anything. Like I was just so focused on trying to be present, like, and like be with you and like our family. Like I didn't look at our centerpieces. I didn't look at this, like our signs I made. I didn't look at, I didn't look at any of that stuff. So it's nice to like look back on now and be like, oh, that looks really nice there. Like I did a really good job. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
So go through, I know you said it was fast, but go through the wedding day, describe it. What
So
was it like?
I played golf that morning. I put together like
Oh boy.
everyone at the invited. I had the whole crew, the college players that I play with at Penn State. A lot of those guys were there, and then I had some of my friends from tour that came as well. And I grew up playing with my dad, and all of my dad's friends play. So we had like an outing of, I think, 50 people.
Wow.
That I put on that morning.
Wow.
We did like
I was nervous
there were
about
like
that.
12 or 13 groups.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that morning we did like a scramble. I put together like good players with like some of the other guys, and just trying to make it fun, so that we could all play really fast too. And so we got done. I think we played 15 holes, just because I told her I'd cut out at
That was
whatever
my
time,
biggest
because she
concern.
was so concerned, and I'm
Yeah.
like, you don't understand how fast I can play. I got this. I got this.
like,
But we
"You
cut out
better
of
be on
there,
time."
and then we headed over. The guys, the party, we headed over to my parents' house, and we got ready there, and that's where we met up with you guys. Took photos, and then we went over to the venue. And I actually had some downtime where I got to just spend time with my party and before everything started. And then we exchanged our vows in private, and then ceremony for me. You were on site the whole day though.
Yeah. So we had, let me just preface this. We had 9 weddings this past year that we went to.
How many were you in? How many were you just attending?
We weren't in a ton. It was more just like attending. The ones that we're in are probably gonna be coming up.
Yeah.
So it was a lot. And I always hear from the brides, like, you're not going to sleep the night before. You're going to get no sleep. You're going to be so nervous, blah, blah, blah. And I was like nervous about that. But I actually slept super well.
I slept like a baby.
Weird. He slept at his parents'. I slept at our house, just by myself, which was actually really nice. Like, just like to have like a little bit of like me time. Like, I fell asleep pretty early. I slept really well. Then my mom picked me up, and it was like just like a casual like, hey, like let's go hang out. But it was my wedding day, which was wild.
Yeah.
So she picked me up, and I was actually the last one to arrive. My entire bridal party was already there before I got there.
Proactive.
Yeah.
They're
And
killing it.
yeah, and I, I didn't want to be there too long, but I also wanted to give myself enough time to like have fun, get ready, do all the things. So I got ready on site in the bridal suite with all my bridesmaids, my mom, and then like Cole's mom came a little bit later because she was with you. And we just had like a really good time. We listened to music. We're wearing our pajamas, just talking. And then like literally I felt like I like snapped my fingers and it was done. Like my hair was
Yeah,
done, my makeup was done. Like
Blur for me started right after our vows. Like after that, it was so quick. It was like last song. And then it was like, okay, hustle outside, and we hopped in. Her dad did a really nice, he restored the Alfa Romeo, so we drove off in that, but I didn't know how to turn the lights on.
that's
And so we drove off in the dark
yeah.
in a manual
We
car,
had to like pull over.
which doesn't have power steering, and I didn't know how to turn the lights on. So we're like pulling off the side of the road and calling her dad like, hey,
Where's the
how do I
lights?
turn these lights on?
What was
Yeah.
it? Like a button or something?
No, it was like you just had to like twist the knot. You had to turn the
He's like, maybe I
like
should
the
let
where
you
the
guys
windshield
drive
wiper
this.
would be, where you'd pull down. You had to turn it, like
Yeah.
twist it all the way around.
Yeah, but for me,
And I was like, what is going on?
for me, it was like
It was a no, and then we actually stayed at that was a really nice spot where we stayed there too.
afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was like as soon as I got there, it went fast. Like everything, like getting ready, and then like we did
Because
our
you jumped right in with hair and makeup.
yeah,
right?
yeah, and then we did like our vows in private, which I wanted, and then like I did a first look with my dad, and then like it was ceremony time, and like everyone tells you like, all right, when you walk down the aisle, just take it in, take a deep breath, look at everybody around you. I kid you not, I didn't see anybody. I saw Cole, and that was it. There was like over 200 people.
Yeah, you weren't looking at anyone.
I didn't look at anyone, and I like literally I don't remember anything except my dad being on my arm, and I just looked at Cole. I don't recall seeing anybody or anything else. Ceremony happened. I think our ceremony was great,
Mm-mm.
and then we hopped in with you guys, did pictures, which was so fun. He's not a picture person, but he did good. And then it was like time to go into the reception, do your entrance. Then it was like first dance with your dad, dance with your mom, and it was like all these things, speeches. And then by the time
Your
like
dad's speech was
oh
hilarious.
my gosh, by the time we like talked to everybody and got on the dance floor, we had so much fun. But I feel like it was so quick.
It was.
I think the biggest thing for me that people told us was like, make sure you hold on to each other, because if you don't hold on to each other, you're going to have totally different days. So we stayed together, I would say like 95% of the time, which I really like think was great. Like we talked to everybody together, we danced together for the most part. So we have very like similar, remembrances of the day, which I think is nice.
Mm-hmm.
But it was definitely quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think too, like, I don't know about what your favorite part was. I think my favorite part was like our final dance. So we had everybody
Yeah, that was-
like go out and like get like sparklers and stuff. And then we just danced, just us two, like in the well, you guys too, but like in the venue, just us. And that was like a really,
Yeah, and it's kind of a unique song. I don't think many people know it, but
we
I was
love
like,
that song.
I love it.
We jammed to
It's
that
like a
all the
midnight
time.
driving song.
We're gonna
It
get
just
tattoos.
puts
of
you in the
lyrics.
feels.
Yep. So like that was so nice because it was just a moment where like we were like, okay, our wedding's over. This is just us two. Like
Yeah.
it was so much fun. Blah blah blah. So yeah, I think that was like probably like my favorite part. And you
Yeah.
forgetting to turn the lights on, that was really funny. To
Wasn't
drive
funny
off.
for me.
Literally, I was like, are you gonna turn the lights on? And he goes, I don't know how. And I'm like, well, it's like 10:30, so we
I
really need
know.
the lights on.
I know.
So
I
I'm
was
like
like,
calling my
whoa.
dad, and he's like, "Are you guys okay? Like, do you want me to drive you to the hotel?" And I'm like,
Like,
"No,
no, I just need to know how to turn the lights
no,
on.
please do not do that." Yeah.
Man. What a rad car too.
Oh,
was
we
Such a
love
nice
that.
car.
He loved that was his excuse to get it repainted.
Yeah. It looked so good.
Oh, it did.
Man, so you got married,
Yep.
and did you go on a honeymoon right after?
Yes,
We
we
did.
did.
Yep.
Like
Where'd you guys go? What'd you do?
we got married Saturday. We had Sunday to recoup, and then we left Monday morning at like 3 a.m. We
Nice.
went to
Grenada.
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 In the Caribbean, we
Yeah.
did a week all inclusive.
At Sandals. That
So
was, yeah,
fun.
That was really nice.
Um,
Little side note though, we almost missed our second flight.
correct.
So we got down into Miami, right? And we're like, oh, we have a 3.5 hour layover.
It was
Let's go
8
get
a.m.
Let's go get breakfast and a couple drinks. Like we're
Mimosas, Yeah.
We're like, okay, this will be fine. And we sat down, we had a nice breakfast, and then we're like, all right, let's go grab some drinks. And we sat down in another place.
We're just talking.
And we were just talking, and I don't know if time got away from us or what happened, but she's like, oh my goodness, it's what time?
So
Like, you're like,
it's
it's 9.
10:30.
Yeah, it's 10:30. And I'm like, oh, what time does boarding start? She's like, it departs at 10:30. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So boarding
So-
is 9:30, right?
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
and they were literally calling for us. Like, we were the last.
We were those people.
Yes.
We were those people.
We ran, and I've never.
and I was like, how much did we just miss them closing the door by?
They
like
said
maybe 30 seconds.
literally in the next minute they would have closed the door. I'd never have done that in my
Yeah.
entire life. My mom is
I
always
was
3
like,
hours early at the
wow.
airport. That
Not great.
That was the story, and everybody was looking at us on the
Not great.
plane, and I
But
was
we
like,
were
never
like,
again,
I don't know,
never
we were
again.
just so happy we didn't even.
I think too, like, I'm so glad we went right after, because I hear people sometimes they take like a 2 weeks and then they go back to work. They say it kind of like that, like diminishes like your like
The celebration.
yeah, like the vibe. And I think going like right away was super nice, and it was also time for just to like, relax and like talk about everything that happened and just have like time us two.
Yep.
So like I would definitely say like I'm glad we went like right away. And we, it was so
There was also a
fun.
weird little coincidence right when we walked in the airport.
That was wild.
So to preface it though, when we first got to the airport, we only showed up like an hour and 15 minutes early,
Yeah.
which everyone knows at Philly airport when you do that on a Sunday or Monday,
Not great.
the line's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
So we walk up the steps and she's like, "Oh, that security line isn't that bad." I'm like, "That's not the line." And then we turn the hall and it's like out into the parking garage, and she's like, "We're gonna miss our flight."
And I
And she
immediately-
started crying, and I'm like, "Lock it up. We got this."
Literally what he said to me.
I'm like, "Lock it up. We got this."
I was
Right?
like, we don't have
And it's
it.
like, I'm like, this won't even take that long. We ended up getting through in like 30 minutes, but by the second we walked through the security line and got into like the actual terminal area,
There was nobody there.
there was no one around us. And then our wedding song, which is an acoustic
Our
version,
first dance, and it's not popular at all.
not at all.
Like
For
not
a
on
wedding
the radio.
song, not even on the radio.
Never.
Was just playing. Like the first line. Just
As
the
we
two of
walked.
us, like right there. I was like, that was really weird.
And we looked at each other. We were like,
total coincidence where I was like, that was really weird.
It's not a popular song. Like not a lot of people know it. And it was like the first line, and we both looked at each other and we were like, is this? And like it was just really
It
weird.
was just strange.
It was
so.
super, yeah.
But it was a really cool moment.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then what was Grenada like?
Just really relaxed. I mean, I drank too much the first night.
We had a good time though.
Yeah.
Like it was like you didn't have to worry about anything.
No,
Like, you could
no.
eat what you wanted. The sushi lady was like, "Are you all right?" Because you just kept
yeah.
eating so much
That's
sushi.
me.
But we could do whatever we wanted, wake up when we wanted.
Did like an excursion the one day. Saw the waterfalls and
Yep. And
explored the
town a
island
little bit.
Yeah.
But it was awesome.
It was a really nice way to end what was just like a
Yeah.
lot going on in a short amount of time. Just
Yeah.
decompress.
My
We
favorite trip.
kind of wish we could stay longer. And,
Yeah, it was my favorite trip that we've went on, like just us two.
Yeah.
I think for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, dating, weddings, marriage. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you two, want to share with the world?
Anything you want to add?
I think we're pretty good. I think we covered everything. Just
I mean, I can say the only thing that like with us, like the healthiest thing that I've seen that we do is just don't be afraid to talk about anything at all,
Yeah.
right? Like what's important to you will be important to your significant other, and like it doesn't even have to be something that society or anyone else thinks is important. If it's important to you, it'll be important to them, right? And so having those conversations only really going to bring you together and stronger. So
I like
Yeah,
that.
just be happy. Like, you know, just try to be happy and just, you know, just love your person, and, you know, everything else I think will just fall into place if, you know, like it does for us. So, but we're very, very fortunate and blessed to have each other. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, Cole, Kylie, thank you so much for joining us on the
Thank
Capturing Your
you.
Love
Thank you.
show. I'm excited to watch you grow as a married couple, but as, you know, future father and a future mother and grandfather, great-grandmother. It'll be really cool to see your journey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe have your parents back on the next season.
Yeah, there you go.
Of course, yes.
That'll be a different
No.
interview, I'll tell you what.
No, thank you. Seriously, you guys were
Thank you.
awesome.